Hi, my name is Dewan Guy, a part of Group 11. Our group topic is physical injuries in youth sports. My subtopic is common injuries in youth sports. There are many common injuries in youth sports, but the most common injuries are the following: Oscar sliders in your knee, concussions in your head, tibia and fibula injuries in your leg, spinal cord injuries in your back. Oscar sliders most often occur during growth spurts when bones, muscles, tendons, and other structures are changing fast. Concussions are caused by a blow to the head or a wait. Concussions are caused by a blow to the head or a violent shaking to the head and body. Tibia and fibula bones injuries most occur when landing on leg indirectly. Spinal cord injury results from falls or diseases like polio or spina bifida.
Hi, my name is CJ Hornby, and my subtopic is effects of common injuries in youth sports. There are many kinds of effects from injuries. Some are headaches, also fatigue, dislocating muscle joints, and stoppage and growing. Headaches can cause a lot of stress in humans and pain in the blood vessel, muscles, and nerves of the head and neck. It also results from changes in the chemical activity in the brain. Fatigue is a common complaint with headaches and concussions. Confusion can make a fatigue worse. The main effect of fatigue is thinking. Increased brain serotonin can lead into fatigue therapy. Thereby, this can cause a deterioration in sports and exercise performance. Dislocations in joints happen when extreme force on a joint and the end of two bones come apart. It can cause pain, swelling, weakness. You can have trouble moving the injured area.
Hi, my name is Marquez Frazier, and my subtopic is recovery from physical injuries in youth sports. Recovery is very crucial after an injury. In this process, it involves getting back healthy, stronger physically, and even stronger mentally. One simple and effective method of recovery would be the term called RICE, which means rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Resting helps the body adapt to the stress of exercise and replenishes the energy lost during the exercise. And it also even helps repair the damaged tissues. If the body does not receive enough rest, it could result in the following: depression, decreased sports performance, and increased risk of injury. Ice/icing is very important because it decreases pain after exercise and after injury, and it also decreases swelling as well. Compression is another good method of recovery because it will help stabilize the muscle and decrease the amount of muscular vibrations, resulting in decreased fatigue and pain in the muscles. Elevation is a good form of recovery because it keeps the injured body part above the heart, reduces swelling, pain, and discomfort. Lastly, physical therapy is one of the best methods of recovery because it helps focus on the one injured body part, which speeds the recovery time up. It can even help the injured body part become even stronger than before.
Hi, my name is Kyan Lawrence, and my subtopic is about injury prevention in youth sports. To prevent injuries such as stress factors or strains, you want to take time off from the sport. You want to take it to at least one day of the week and 1 month of the year off the sport. You also want to wear protective gear such as helmets, mouth guards, and protective cuffs in particular sports. You also want to strengthen your muscles by doing conditioning exercises during practice, so when muscles will be strengthened when used during play. And you want to increase your flexibility by stretching before and after practice and games. Stretching should also be a part of your fitness plan daily, and take a break from during games and practice to reduce a higher chance of injury and heat illness. And also, you don't want to play through pain. For our action project, we went to Arlington Elementary School and presented stretching to a group of first graders and told them the benefits of stretching, and we also demonstrated it with them. We gave them a brochure about stretching so they can go home and
first interview, we headed out to the Human and Health Services building at the University of Toledo to interview an athletic trainer. She is very experienced in her field. Her name is Sherry Benson Norte. Before moving here, she used to work in Virginia as an athletic trainer at a private school. Now she currently works at the University of Toledo.
Like, how do I know if I tore my ACL?
Specifically your ACL or like tearing anything in general?
Just if ACL.
Okay. So first sign when you tear your ACL is usually that you can't bear any weight, meaning that it's it hurts you to bear weight, so you basically pull up and you limp on it, so you don't want to put a lot of force through your leg. The other thing that happens is that it swells really fast. So the classic sign for an ACL is that it's really, we call it a fusion, when the whole joint swells up really big. And so if it gets really big, really fast, that's a sign of ACL because it has a really good blood supply. So other injuries in the knee typically take a little bit longer for it to swell because there's not as good of a blood supply to those areas. So if you feel a pop or you hear a pop in your knee and then all of a sudden it hurts to put weight through it, and then give it about 10 minutes and it swells up really big, that's how you know you probably tore
My
your
first question is, what do you think the most common injuries are?
in sports in general or in kids in sports?
In kids, youth.
There's a lot of overuse injuries in youth sports. So the difference between youth sports and adults and college age kids in sports is that their bones are much more harder. Basically, they've formed better, and so when they injure themselves, they're injuring more like ligaments. So they have like ACL tears and meniscus tears and things in the knee, or they'll like sprain their ankle. But if youth, anyone usually under the age of 14, if they have like a very same injury, they'll often break something instead because their bones are weaker. And so often it's the bone that kind of gives. And so I usually see growth plate injuries in youth sports. So I don't know if you've ever heard of the growth plate, but at the end of each bone, you have an area of cartilage that allows your bones to grow. And so in boys, you actually, your bones usually don't stop growing until like 18 to 21. And females, it's like 14 to 16. So it's very different. But I'll often see growth plate fractures, like in the wrist, where if you fall on your wrist, you'll break your growth plate, and that's not a big deal. Usually you just need to have it casted. I also see, if you heard of Osgood Slaughters, or see boys with like knee pain and they have like a big ball right here, like you have that? Yeah. So Osgood Slaughters is where people that are doing basketball or sports where they're jumping a lot, and often if you're playing like travel basketball and school basketball, or you're playing like two sports at once, anytime you're doing like double what a normal person would do, it's basically pulling, like your tendon is pulling on that area, and it's creating, it's basically filling with tissue. So it's not a big deal, but it causes you a lot of pain. Probably the most common injuries in general I see, like in all of sports, ACL, ankle sprain, and with shoulder, usually a labrum tear.
Where some kind of physical effects?
So usually after injury, you atrophy. So if you're not using it, your muscles will start to die away, basically. So they start to get a little bit smaller. Swelling is the first thing, the physiological effect that happens. So there's a lot of things that happen at a cellular level for injury. You know, your macrophages, I don't know if you've learned this in science, all of these things are coming to the body to help heal. And so the natural response is to swell because everything is there trying to work. And that's a good process, but we ice to kind of minimize the effects of it. And so swelling, pain, and then the atrophy, a little bit of weakness are pretty much the main effects. And then there's that blood going to that area as well, that can cause the swelling. So it can also cause warmth in the area. And then as you start to rehab that, work with the athletic trainer, you can usually minimize the effects of that. Okay. So your muscles need to all be about the same. So you need to make sure you're stretching everything. Um, so when you're stretching your legs, stretching the front of your legs, the back of your legs, lower and upper legs to make sure there's no imbalance. That's really the point of stretching, is that you don't want anything to be too tight. So you want everything to be really loose. The other part of stretching is that you should do an active warm-up before you stretch. So like biking, or I don't know if you guys like run, do a lap or two around the gym or something, and then you stretch, because you're more effective in stretching when your muscles are warm. And it's actually more effective to warm your muscles with exercise than it is a heating pad. Like a heating pad only does like the skin. And so it's really important to get them warm, stretch, and then that makes sure that your muscles aren't really tight, because that's how you strain the muscle. And when I say strain, I mean you pull it so it tears a little bit. So whenever you say you pull a muscle, you've actually torn part of your muscle. And it just goes from small tear to big tears. And they're usually small tears. But you can prevent those by being nice and warm.
For our second interview, we interviewed an athletic trainer from the Promedica Wildwood Athletic Club. His name was Trent, and he has worked there for a while. We each asked him a few questions regarding physical injuries. Will you be able to walk as usual?
That depends where the injury occurs and like how severe it is. So some, depending on where it's at in the spinal cord, you could, or the severity if it's not very severe. But again, that's all dependent, because every single injury is very individually based. So I mean, again, that's just kind of dependent on how bad the injury is and where it happens, like in the spine.
How do you know if you like pulled your groin or something?
I mean, there are a couple, symptoms. I mean, if there's just general, like if there's soreness, or very sharp pains with small movements, that could be a pull. Or, if there's a soreness that just will not go away for a while, you could have pulled a muscle there.
Some recovery options after a pulled groin.
Physical therapy. Just because physical therapists, they're very specific with the exact.
What are some long-term effects of a dislocated shoulder?
Long-term effects, definitely limited range of motion, limited strength, just in general. Typically, if you dislocated it once, you're at high risk of dislocating it again.
Okay, thank you.
Generally, the best way to know is to go talk to a physician. So, because again, kind of depending on the surgery, you might have to get scans or x-rays. So I always just tell people, if you're in doubt, just go see your doctor, and they'll be able to do the necessary tests to see if there needs to be surgery or if it'll get fixed kind of just with rest.
As our interviews came to completion, we went to go out on our action project. For our action project, we went to Arlington Elementary and gave a first grade class a presentation on why stretching is important. We also demonstrated the stretches with them and conversed with them.
My name is Dewan Gott. I'm from St. John, Jesuit Academy.
My name is Marquez Frazier. I'm from St. John's Academy.
I'm here for an action project, for 8th grade project.
We're here to teach you some stretches and demonstrate them. Why is stretching important? So stretching is important because it keeps your muscles healthy. It keeps your muscles flexible. And if you play sports, you need to stretch so that you can prevent injuries and different types of injuries. If you wouldn't stretch, then you wouldn't be able to play sports like you do right now.
Okay, man. You got it. Yeah, push down. Yeah, you repeat to the other side. You should do the stretch to loosen up the tight muscles in the arm. Tricep injury prevents the following: forearm, long head, arm, extend shoulder.
So, this stretch prevents hip injuries, and you should do the stretch because it loosens out your hips so that you can be able to play sports and be more flexible. So, everyone stand up. Do the stretch. You gotta get down on one knee. end of our action project, we gave the kids a brochure to take home with them so that they won't forget about the stretches or the information we talked to them about. Also, so they could do them on their own time.
Are there any questions? Yes. The most important thing to me was when we interviewed the trainer at UT, and she told us the thing that's called rice, and that because it's called rest, ice, compression, and elevation.
The most interesting thing for me would probably be when we were at UT interviewing the athletic trainer, and she was talking about like how you would know after an ACL injury. She said that it would swell up, and if you hear it pop, after 10 minutes, it would swell up. So yeah.
The most interesting part to me was like doing our action project, like making the kids aware about doing stretches and how this can prevent the type of injuries.
The most interesting to me was the UT trainer and how she told me the effects of the injuries and how can it affect you as a person.
City public school, and the other being a suburban private school. At these schools, we supplied them with first aid kits and had them take a short survey regarding their school safety.
When we arrived at Glenwood, we interviewed the school counselor, Dr. Jackson. Here's what she had to say.
For our action project, we decided
Yeah, because there's something wrong with the cord.
Okay. Okay, I'll wait till you sit down. You're not not sitting down. Oh. There we go. Hello, I'm Josh Van Cott, and our topic is school safety with Michael Oprez and Mitchell Mahalik. My subtopic is school procedures. A school procedure is any act or manner preceding any action or process. There are multiple types of procedures in the school, and everybody should be prepared and aware of all of them. The most common would be fire drills, tornado drills, and lockdown drills, because those are the ones that students participate mostly in. The second would be state-required drills that are things that students really don't know about but are just as needed. There are three. There is the tabletop exercise, the functional exercise, and the full-scale exercise, all serving the same purpose of greater enhancing the school's safety and general awareness. How can a student help? Now, students really can't help that much besides staying quiet, following directions, and listening to what the teachers have to say and telling them what to do. Now, with the faculty and staff, they can do multiple things to help. So if a teacher doesn't have a class going on at that moment, they can guide the students to the designated area, and they can listen to other teachers or the school administrator any further instructions focusing on what's going on at that time.
Hello, my name is Michael Oprez, and my subtopic is communication during school emergencies. Communication is one of the most valuable ways to keep everybody safe. Why is communication necessary? If done effectively, it keeps everyone in the school as safe as possible. What kind of communication is there? The two types of communication that I researched the most were pagers and overhead PA systems. For a fire or tornado drill, an overhead PA system is most likely the most effective. Everyone in the school is alerted at the same time and can be directed where to go. Pagers work very well for lockdown drills. They only alert certain teachers that have them. So, a pager is a silent notification that can let the classroom know what to do and not have the intruder know that you guys are going somewhere. Preparation. A study shows that 1/5 or 20% of schools do not have the appropriate preparation for a school emergency. There should be certain people that are designated to talk to each other and infer what the best thing to do is during an actual emergency. When to contact parents. If there is an emergency, parents want to know what is happening. In some cases, parents get notified by social media or a second source site, which could make them more alerted. Schools should be the ones to notify the parents. The parents want to know what happened exactly because the school could lie and they don't want it to seem as bad. If parents come during an emergency, like a lockdown or fire drill, it will more likely distract the staff that is designated to tell the students and faculty where to go.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Mahalik, and my subtopic was drug correlation and effects in schools. So over the past few years, drugs and vapes have become more prominent in schools than ever. This is mainly due to the fact that they are more accessible. So they can be obtained by social media connections, adult influencers, online shopping, and other peers. Drugs have many effects regarding the safety of the school environment. These include overdose, leading to hospitalization or death. Illicit drugs corrupt the mind, allowing the student to make poor decisions. Secondhand smoke, which affects the lungs. And the giving of the drugs or vapes to peers, which would be misused. So, how can drugs be prevented? Informing the students on the dangers of drugs is one way. Second way is giving the students positive resources which they can refer to. These are like drug programs such as DARE. And the third way is random drug tests. So for those who've already been affected, how can they be helped? Students must be referred to a psychologist or a therapist, and there they can be given other coping methods and rehab. So here's our documentary. We visited 2 different schools, and we handed out surveys and we gave them first aid kits.
For our action project, we decided to go to 2 different action project, we decided to go to two different schools, a public school and the other being a suburban private school. At these schools, we supplied them with first aid kits and had them take a short survey regarding their school safety.
When we arrived at Glenwood, we interviewed the school counselor, Dr. Jackson. Here's what she had to say.
I'm here with.
Pasha Jackson, Glenwood Elementary School Counselor.
Yep, and we have a couple of interview questions that we'd like to ask.
Okay.
So, what kind of communication do you do during a drill, such as a lockdown drill, and how well does this work?
What we usually do, we have what's called an overhead or PA system. So what happens is our building principal comes on and says we are currently in a lockdown. Usually just we're in a lockdown and proceed to your designated places. So what happens is because we practice, and all the students know that that's what they should do. So they go to either whatever the space is. I won't say what the space, but they go to either space. And I think that works really well because and harming the students and the staff. Hostile parents, we get a lot of hostile parents. We have to be buzzed in. Anytime you come in, you have to be buzzed in. But I think having hostile parents will probably be, in my eyes right now, that I can think of, probably one of the biggest threats due to them coming in and having just the mindset of, I need to talk to the teacher, I've been calling. I think that would probably be, for me to think of, is probably one of the biggest issues.
And then, what do you think could be done by your school to keep your school safer as a whole?
I do like the mechanism where we have bus parents in. Being mindful of ways to handle difficult parents. So whether that be a training or maybe the first line person, maybe our secretary or administrative assistant, being able to deal with difficult parents and diffusing situations might be really important. I think having a good relationship with parents,
So you say like communication with everybody throughout the school would be the main thing, and like keeping the school more safe and having everybody trust one another to be able to tell them what's wrong.
Right, communication and being able to trust one another, as well as knowing what your building procedures and policies are. In the event that there's something that's happening, who do you go to? Who do you communicate to? Who do you look to for that guidance? I think that's important as well.
And that's all I have. Thank you for meeting with us.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you guys for coming in.
After the interview for our action project, we supplied the front office with first aid kits.
When we arrived at Christ the King, we interviewed the principal of the school, Mr. Joe Carroll. Here's what he had to say.
Dr. Van Cott, we're meeting here with
Mr. Carroll.
Nice to meet you. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. What do your how do you think your students react to school drills?
I think they act pretty. It's pretty standard. We have to do fire drills once a month. We have to do tornado drills in season once a month. We have to do school safety drills. So it's become part of the when the weather's nice outside, they kind of participate.
So do they enjoy it, or do they all work really well together?
Yeah, we get out of the building on a fire drill. It's 400 kids in about a minute and 40 seconds. So they do work really well together.
So do you have preparation procedures for when school is in danger? So other than drills, do you have separate things? Say an intruder came in. Do you have separate additional things to add?
Yes.
Instead of
Yeah, so each teacher goes over the classroom procedures. So it's just dependent on if we have an intruder in the building, if an intruder's outside. If we can locate the intruder, we put cameras up all throughout the building. So those drills are a little bit harder to do
because they're not as routine. A fire drill, you have to get out of the building. And an intruder, if you tell them they have to leave the building, they might walk right into where the intruder is. So it's just that's more case by case scenario in that case as well.
Okay. Then, have you ever had students bring weapons to your school? Then how would you deal with that compared to them bringing alcohol or drugs?
Well, I think the weapons is more immediate. It's a more immediate response. We had a second grader bring a knife to school because he wanted to kill kids. He had a kill list. And he said a bat was too big to fit in his book bag, so we would see it. So he brought a knife. So I immediately retained him, in my office. Called Dad. Dad fought with me about it, but I expelled him immediately. So with the drugs, you would hope to give him some help. The weapons are immediate danger to everybody.
What do you think are the biggest threats to the school environment like yours?
I think just outside public, we're located in a very diverse area as far as retail, residential. We have people constantly coming to the parish looking for free handouts, and sometimes they come into the school building, and so maybe not knowing where they are. But I think the biggest thing is just just the activity that surrounds us. I think the school itself is really safe, and we've taken all the precautionary measures to make sure the school's safe within the building, and so I think it's just the outside influences.
All right, and that's all we have. So, as my reflection, I realized more that I need to pay attention more during each procedure, and I should realize the importance of each thing, so I really know what's going on, and I know how I can keep myself and others safe.
So, from my reflection, I feel that I've learned a lot about working better with my classmates. I also feel that I know how to communicate better with people that I am just meeting or trying to organize events with.
I thought this was a very good thing to learn about because this is one of the biggest issues in the U.S. right now is just school safety. So it's really nice to be informed on.
Any questions?
I was kind of surprised, but modern day today, there's just so many things you can do to get them. So I was a little surprised, but not very surprised.
That is what I said. Yes. I think that we should take the drills a lot more seriously because in an actual event, it could be very dangerous if people are not paying attention to what they're being told.
I think we're good.
All right, listen up. 2 days in a row. Nice job, guys. You guys may be careful.